Hey, we're back with another recap chat. 90 Day Fiance, this time the other way. 90 Day Fiance is a reality show that follows real life couples, one person from the US, the other from another country. How do they navigate? How do they go through the regular relationship issues on top of cultural differences, language boundaries, and barriers, and also the legal process of marriage and the visa process, which is usually about 90 days to be a fiance and then to marry and to get your visa. So we learned some more about those legal issues and whatnot involved. We learned a lot about kind of the 90-day process, and we learn about other cultures as well. Faith, love, and trends right here on CBiz Media. Let's talk about this show, the show that we review most often. This one is a spinoff, and it's called 90 Day the Other Way. So let's get into these couples, Sarper and Shekinah. Shekinah, last time she confronted one of Sarper's exes, not really confronted, but met with her. She's basically the ex is warning her to be careful. He's a player. He said he loved her and all these things, and he mistreated her at the end of the day, and they ended up not being together. And she's kind of warning Shekinah, this might be your fate. And Sarper's like, no, I really do love you and I care about you and you're the one. I've changed my ways. I'm not that player type of person anymore because of you. So she's a little bit confused and unsure because he said that he loved her, and that was the first time he ever said that to anyone. But the ex is saying that he said the same thing to her. And honestly, he's saying, no, I really didn't do that. I didn't play with anyone. I didn't play games. If someone says they loved me, I would cut it off because I was always about, living a certain lifestyle, not being in something serious. So, he said he was somewhat of an unintentional player. He didn't say it in those words, but the way he said it's like, no, he wasn't trying to lead anybody on. Yeah, so basically he wasn't trying to, but he was, to me, still a player. And I'm not really sure if he's telling the truth about not sweet talking these ladies and not, because that's a part of the game. And Shekinah's kind of like, you have a way with women, and it's kind of a part of the game, and you have a good game, basically. He's saying he didn't use those tactics to get with these women. But I'm a little leery about that because I feel like a lot of men use that, even if you're attractive and good looking and whatnot, which Sarper can put himself on that pedestal in some way. To me, I feel like he's a little bit too much and a little bit vain, which is kind of a turn off for me. But there's a lot of women that, they see attractive man. If he gives them any type of attention, they can fall. So he may not have done or had to do as much to get these women's attention because they may have been a little bit needy. So she's unsure. At the end of the day, she says she believes him. And I believe that he could have changed for her, but I will never 100% fall into that until we have our wedding papers and we are married. Then I'll say, okay, you have changed for me. But until then, you're going to have to continue to show me with your actions or whatnot for me to totally believe that, because she said that, she believes him. She hopes she doesn't seem gullible, but, she does fear that he may fall back into his old ways. So, yeah, keep one eye open. You can have some level of confidence and trust in this person if they've shown you something in order to work with. But again, you can't 100% fall into whatever they're saying because actions speak louder than words. And like I said, at the end of the day, the wedding papers have to be signed in order for me to know that you have changed your ways. And even then, you still got to keep looking with one eye open. Sadly, you do. It can take years for you to build that trust even after you're married, especially if you're dealing with somebody that's had a past like his. It might take, even after we get married, it might take me some years to be really sure. But I've heard marriages breaking up in 20 years because some other person got in the middle and they stepped out on that relationship, they stepped out on their marriage. So I don't want to be the person that's just always worrying about what my spouse is doing. But when a person has a past like that, it's hard not to. And then begs the question, what she's done to go back into his past. Should you pull up and dig up the past? Because he was saying she probably shouldn't have done that. It's going to cause more drama and trouble. But sometimes you do need to look into the past to see the future, to see what's going on. Because sometimes we can be blinded by love, and someone's past can tell you a lot about them. And they're really just going to have to prove themselves and show that they aren't their past at the end of the day. All right, let's go to James and Tata. He arrives. Again, they had a great, heartwarming, loving welcome with each other. And they're in India. He has a couple of big bags, I think a smaller bag. But they get on this tiny scooter, and he says like to hold the bags, and it looked a little scary to me. I wouldn't want to be in that situation. But they were able to make it to the house, and it looks like a big house. It looks like the White House kind of. It's really big. He praises them for the house, the look of the house, but when they show him his room, which is somewhat unfinished, he's like, looks like a prison. They said they didn't finish it anyway, but he's like, it looks like a prison. I don't know if I can do this. So he's being a little bougie behind their backs, not really telling them these thoughts. But he has a nice welcome with the family. He hugs her parents. Everybody seems to care about each other. This seems to be like a loving environment. One of his issues is he still hasn't learned the language, so Tata's interpreting for him. Also, the parents don't know that he's supposed to be staying there. They're staying there forever because of her health issues, and he left his job and everything to now work with them in the banana chip business, but they have no idea that this is the plan. They think this is just a visit. So this couple likes to throw things on people last minute. This is kind of what they do. When it comes to speaking the language, and then he said that he would give them grandkids, and he's unsure about that. He doesn't want to be a liar and disappoint them. He said he realizes, they really take promises seriously, and I think everyone should. But for himself, I don't know. He seems a little bit procrastination, a little bit maybe impetuous in some ways. So I don't know. I don't know if I fully trust him. I really do think he loves Tata, but some of his decision making skills need much work. Uh, he he doesn't, certain things he just doesn't, to me, he's not taken very seriously, and that could prove to be a problem later on. You should never make false promises and say things you can't do. Um, and I mean, we can always say things and things can change, but you have to also have the courage and the guts to say, actually, I have changed my mind. Don't know if he has that. So shortly they will be telling the family the truth about uh, them staying there. At least accommodations prove that they do have space for them to live there. But for a couple nights, they're gonna get a room so they can kind of have their alone time. So they have a hotel, and it's a whole discussion about bidets, and they don't use tissue there. And she's like showing him how to use the bidets, and he said, I've had really big issues with the bidets. It was a painful thing. He said he got a deep clean from the bidet, but they don't really use tissue in their country. They say tissue is very expensive, at least in her area. It sounds like they're not using tissue, and it's probably a thing for their whole country. So the bidet is the thing that they use to clean themselves. Um, what do you guys think about bidets versus tissue? Because he's a tissue guy. That's going to be kind of a big thing to give up versus a bidet. I just think about the drying part of it. How do you dry yourself? Do you use cloths? And I don't even want to really think too deeply about it because it sounds like a lot of. I feel like I'm the tissue person. I'm not a bidet person. I think I could use both, but I guess there's like, what's the point of using both because you're wasting tissue. But I rather use both than just the bidet by itself. Then they tell us, okay, we have money troubles. He's talking about how much money they still owe on this car that they kind of got in debt to. And so $700 a month is a lot of money. He's like, I'm not sure, are we going to be making that much money? And they're going to be selling these banana chips possibly on commission because they have to actually help make them and sell them. So they have a big task ahead of them. But first, they have to tell the parents. All right, let's go to Statler and Dempsey. There wasn't too much of Statler and Dempsey here. Statler is really upset, really, from her conversation with their friend and how she's not really sure about Dempsey. She's putting up the money for this um, car excursion, van life excursion that they're going to be doing. She kind of gave up her place and everything. She almost gave up her car and she took out a big loan to do this with Dempsey. Um, and now she's thinking, is Dempsey using her in order to do this trip? Statler has ADHD, anxiety, and autism, so there's a lot going on. A lot of emotions are rising. Mistrust is there as well. And when Statler arrives, Dempsey's smiling. I can understand Statler probably is drained. The trip was over 10 hours long. And at least Dempsey got a hug out of it, but Statler wasn't giving too much more and was looking upset at the same time. But chalked it all up to, hey, I'm just tired from the trip. But I don't know if she expressed her feelings about this whole van life, that they're going to be doing a camper van thing, and her issues with maybe is she being used. I don't know if she's even discussed that with Dempsey, but they kind of got into it on the way to go pick up this camper van, which Statler was like, well, I'm tired, I need to rest, can we do this tomorrow? I can go to the hotel, sleep it off. But Dempsey's right away trying to get this van. And I understand the tired part for real. Like, that's a long, long trip. So I get that. But Dempsey already set it up for them to pick the van up at a certain time. So they kind of have to kind of go through with it. So they kind of get in a tiff and a little argument about in that. And Dempsey's like, just wants Statler to be more excited, and Statler's like, just let me be miserable, don't let me take away your happiness, I'm not in charge of your happiness. Statler kind of takes it deep, even though she's trying to play it off as, oh, I'm just really tired. But the deep underlying issues will come out, I'm sure, if they haven't already. So that's what's going on with Dempsey and Statler. Not a very warm welcome or awkward welcome there, but we'll see how this whole camper van thing goes. Josh and Lily, they meet up with friends and play badminton, and it's really popular in China. But Josh is like, I'm not really a sports guy. They're out of breath, really getting into it. He seems a little bit slow on the court, in my opinion. I'm probably a little bit more like him. I might get a little bit more into it, but he's not one of those athletic type of guys. There's guys that she plays badminton with, so he finally gets to meet these guys that she's been talking about, along with some of the girls that she plays with as well. And it was an issue because he would FaceTime her and say, hey, could you show me these guys? Can I meet these guys over FaceTime, that you're playing with? So she would say no. And, there were times when he would message her and she would take hours or maybe the next day to get back with him. So he took it as his own insecurity and was like, well, you love me, but you're not in love with me because of your behaviors in these certain ways. In a way, he's kind of showing that he's needy. But Lily was like, I hate that you say that. I do love you and you're important to me. You mean a lot to me. So, you shouldn't really feel insecure in this way. And what do you guys think about, hey, your partner doing certain things like that? Like, okay, not introducing you to certain people on FaceTime because they're long distance. And also not getting back to you in it which you feel will be a timely manner when it comes to messaging, texting, calling, whatever you guys do. To me, I do feel he's a little insecure. This woman is basically going to pay for everything and their whole livelihood in China. She has a business. I mean, I understand why she doesn't get back to him right away. She has a business and she has a lot of things going on. And, some people just have different ways of showing their love, and they're not, when it comes to communicating in a certain time frame, that's not really their focus. That doesn't prove that they love you or don't love you. Um, if that's an issue with someone, I could see you guys discussing it, but again, I don't feel like you should force somebody to do something in a certain time when they're not used to really doing that. If they explain to you, hey, this is just how I am, unless you see some other red flags of some shiftiness. Um, and the FaceTime thing, again, I don't know why she chose not to do that, but I feel like for me, if someone asked me that, I feel like they had trust issues. Like, why can't you just trust me? Why do you have to meet the guys that I'm actually playing the game with? I feel like in some way he was having trust issues and was trying to show that, hey, this is my woman type of thing, which I might be a little bit uncomfortable with. But I'm glad she did things the way that she did it. They're now in the same country, married, they're living together, they're starting their life together. So now he gets to see all of the ins and outs, and he gets to see that, he can trust her. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't like try to make someone do something like that if they're not comfortable with doing it. What if the friends weren't comfortable with FaceTiming him? I mean, they don't know him. Uh, I don't know. It's just, to me, some things are a little bit over the top, and I don't feel like you really have to prove yourself like that unless you've given the person reason otherwise. But he's a little insecure, but they're happy. They love each other. I'm hoping that, he said they have a little bit more issues than he realized, but I'm hoping that they can get over those issues. Josh is a little bit needy. He said he has abandonment issues, and he's had some people play him in the past as far as that goes. So I understand where he's coming from, but you kind of have to work with the person that you have, and you don't want to try to make things harder than it has to be, put extra pressure or stress on the relationship because you may have some trust issues. Again, it's something you have to work out, because I don't feel like the person should completely placate you and try to make you feel good all the time. It's a give and take in a relationship, and that's not up to that person. You have to be able to trust him within yourself, and if that person is not being who you need them to be, you have to trust in yourself to say, I'm going to have to walk away. This isn't the right relationship for me. Those things are kind of small. That's not enough to walk away. But I need something bigger to walk away. But we'll see as things go forward with Josh and Lily. I do not feel like she's cheating or playing him at all. She says this is her husband. She introduces him everywhere. She says she loves him often. She's going to be affording them this nice lifestyle. So all the best to these guys. We'll talk more about 90 Day Fiancé, as well as our other reality programs that we cover, talking faith, love, and trends. We'll have other topics that we talk about involving those main topics. And we'll have guests as well. So stay tuned. Continue to listen. We thank you for all your support. This is Irene All the best. God bless. If you want to connect, email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com. That's cbiztv@yahoo.com. Again, all the best. God bless.